Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday Culture Review. There was no time to waste on a countdown at all. We just got started. We have an incredible panel with us today. People that I appreciate being here. They take the time out on a very busy Sunday, especially for folks like Lorena Creole, who's incredibly busy on Sundays. She's so busy she pre-records stuff to premiere and do on days when she's double booked herself. But anyway, Lorena, Lorena, tell everybody what you're doing and what just premiered just a few moments ago.
Okay. Well, folks, number one, glad to be here with all of you. Lorena Creole. Today, actually, which is probably wrapping up in about 20 minutes, going through each episode of Reacher, the new series on Amazon Prime, produced not by Amazon, produced actually by Skydance in cooperation with Paramount. So, also known as Positive Fandom, and I are doing it was live at the time on Twitch, watch party and review of each episode. So, the premiere of our video for episode 7 is about 2/3 the way premiered for now. We have one more episode to go on that. And of course, later on today at 8 p.m. Eastern, a show that's been quite a long time coming, considering all of the crap that has popped off, the Welcome to Florida live stream, where we are going to be talking Mickey going straight villain after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. So I'm going to be giving you my opinion as someone who was raised by Floridians, how Floridians in general view Disney, and kind of what's going to happen with all this, because DeSantis is no punk.
Oh, he's not.
Those threats are tough.
Absolutely isn't.
That government thing is a big deal.
It is. We're gonna have we're gonna have some discussion around that, quite possibly on this show. But I'm probably gonna save some material for Lorena's show tonight, because I think
we've been nibbling at that for the past two or three weeks, trying not to take over the whole show, but now we're finally gonna do it.
Well, the whole thing it's sad. I mean, Disney used to have such love. It's just sad.
It is, but there's also a interesting relationship between Florida and Disney, and how all of that came to pass in the first place. So it's kind of like future's coming back to bite the past in the ass, so to speak. But we'll talk about that on tonight's show at 8 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully you all can join us.
Awesome.
Mexican Iron Man may have just accidentally pocket blocked somebody. I've just watched somebody's message get blocked and timed out. I don't know. It's all right. Well, let's get going. From there, of course, we have Makini. Makini draws the man that is going to hit the timer button here to start drawing, as you can see here. But Mock, what's going on, man?
How is it going, everybody? Welcome to the Sunday Culture Review for April 3rd, 2022. For those who are kind of guessing, kind of checking, no, because of basically my tooth problem, I am taking today off, so there will not be a Makini live today. In fact, this will probably be the only stream I'll be on today, and then I'm just gonna relax and focus on this week and the next couple weeks, because we got a bunch of stuff coming to the channel. The next 3 guests plus the season finale. Next guest will be Grumpy Old Ninja Kintaro for April for next Sunday. So stay tuned for that. A brand new show that I'll be doing in the mornings called Makini Cafe on Thursday from 7 to 9:30. And then I'm back to making videos again with the return of Maki Sketch Diary, which will be back tomorrow. And on top of that, I have a new series of time lapses I'll be posting up called My Morning Sketches. It's basically what you guys see here, what I've been doing since like February. I've been recording most of them, and I'm just going to start putting them up to the channel every Tuesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So plenty of content that you guys do not want to miss. That road
amazing.
to 1,000 is
Yeah,
The train's coming. The train's chugging along.
right.
That train is not stopping.
Makani posted his schedule on Twitter. It's impressive, folks. Check him out. He's got a ton of guests, so do check that out. Check out his Twitter, the schedule he just released. Hopefully, he posts that in his community thing on YouTube. And then, of course, right below Makani is our Scotsman from Canada. What a weird thing. He does music and stuff, and he shows off his Latino slant mug. What's going on there, 70s?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you very much for having me on today. I'm drinking the elixir, the psychedelic elixir that inspired the best work of the Ruttles tea. So,
all right,
a Ruttles reference, which most people will not get.
I'm flabbergasted. All right,
that makes the tea sound really exciting.
Yeah, do check out that 70s fan. He does talk music and other things with some special guests. I had the great honor of being an interviewee on his show, so that was tremendous.
Yeah, it was a great show, sir, and I'm very excited because I dropped this morning a whiskey video, the first one I've ever done. So
I saw that. So that's pretty cool. And of course, right next to our friend 70s is AFK Bard, one of the longest term panelists that we've had on the show. In fact, almost every single show. How's it going, AFK?
Well, hello. No, I've missed some spots, and I miss you when I'm not here. So, hello, happy Sunday, and thanks to everybody who showed up, and hello to everybody on the panel. It's awesome to see everybody. And I look forward to hitting some topics here.
All right, me too. And we'll get there. Just another few people to introduce, of course. Right below me is the amazing story man, Jack, who came to a realization that he has over 100 videos that are just stories on his channel.
Yeah, I counted them up and excluded all the tips and tricks and live streams. And there is almost exactly 100 stories.
Wow.
Will be exactly 100 stories Monday. I have the 8th episode of the sci-fantasy story I'm telling dropping Monday at 1 p.m. in the afternoon Central Time. And then on Thursday, the 2nd episode of the new noir story is dropping at 1 p.m. Thursday. So, yeah, I'm trying to get ahead a little bit. I'm also currently writing the stories for the Halloween stuff.
Ooh, cool.
And looking into putting together perhaps a radio dramatization old school style, like War of the Worlds style.
Yeah, I've been
with community members.
I've been hearing you. Members. Yeah, I've been hearing you discussing that. It sounds intriguing as all heck. So I hope you like to push forward with it. Very cool stuff, indeed. And of course, let's hop around here. Let's check out Shellbach, who's right below Storyman Jack. Shellbach, what are you up to, my friend?
Yeah, check me out. Here, let me do a twirl for you. No, I am Shellback TJC, part-time pirate, full-time patriot, and I've been doing some streams on Monday nights. Kind of borrowed a little bit from a fellow creator, and it's called Yelling at Parked Cars Warm Up. And I was watching Yelling at Parked Cars, and I was noticing, some people in the chat, coming up with some injuries, and I thought, well, it's less likely for somebody to get injured, if they do a little bit of a warm up first. So there you go. So I've started my show. So, hopefully there's been a reduction in injuries on Comics' channel, and it's it's been a good time. We're like, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes deep now. So
cool. That's awesome. All right, and of course we know that you're doing the yelling, the pre-yelling, don't strain a hammy show. Hopefully, I can be on there tomorrow. I'm looking forward to trying to stop by and hang out for a little pre-show before the show. So
I'm hoping to talk about probably some of the stuff we'll end up talking about on here today, but
we're gonna dive into some stuff for sure. But that'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, right next to our friend Shellbach is a man that needs no introduction. It's you.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Are you sure you're talking to me? Because there's nobody else. Well, actually, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
A lot of beautiful people in the chat.
Yeah.
We got to say hello to.
That's right.
Hello.
Yeah, we absolutely have to say hello and thank
And
you.
if you're from another country, I don't know how to say hello in your native tongue, but I just want to greet you and say hello.
You said tongue.
Can you make us an offer?
I have to tell you, Tom, of course, is one of.
You can't refuse.
That's right. Tom's one of the most talented people here on the YouTube planet, and we're grateful he's joining us today. So thanks, Tom, for your time this morning. Of course, he's right. We got to say hello to folks. We've got Terry Rose out there. 70s is saying hi to folks. Of course, he's on the panel. We've got Trav 101, Dr. Dragon.
No, you didn't even show respect for my joke.
Which joke?
Because I said, "Are you talking to me?" Because Robert De Niro does that line.
He does.
In The Taxi Driver.
He does.
Robert De Niro played me as a young man.
Yeah.
Did you get the connection there?
This is how the universe ends, self-referencing.
Yeah, we're already there already. Yeah, so good joke. Good joke.
No, it wasn't. It landed flat.
Okay, all right. Well, Dr. Dragon is here, of course, and is going to be listening later because there's big stuff happening today. Of course, we have, I guess, another WrestleMania Part 2 tonight, I guess. I don't know. Weird stuff. Anyway, Dr. Dragon's here, of course. We've got the Cheese Factor, got Olaf von S, Lord Thoth. We've got Jaffo here. A couple of member chats I'll get to in just a second. Let's see. One Man Show popped in. Of course, the ever lovely Lorena Creole is here because she's on the channel. Brahma Bull is here. Judas Goat Barbecue. Looks like Keely Chow here. Is here. And Roll Tide, my friend. Joker Voice, of course, who also sends a super. We'll get to in a moment. The amazing Judicon is in the house as well. Looks like HVP showed up. Andrew Northman is here. Snowdub, who I hung out with yesterday. That was fun. Great announcement stream over there. Check that out, Snowdub. Music and Entertainment. Purple is here. Hi, Purple. Doll Ben is here. We've got Steven for Deleted Scenes. You should check out Steven's channel. We've got Rob Altus here. The ever lovely Tina Bojan. Zach is here. Cal G is here, who had a timeout accidentally. Sorry about that, Cal G.
That's my son, you see.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
it's my son there.
Look what they did to him.
Yeah,
they did to my boy. They massacred my boy.
Yeah, well, Mexican Iron Man, unfortunately, got.
Where did the shellback go?
I don't know. We lost him.
The turtle guy left.
The turtle representation is absent now. But
maybe he went to get a bagel.
Yeah,
I wish I had a bagel.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, Mexican Iron Man is here, of course. We've got Squeak Mouse. Gosh, look at all these folks rolling in. Appreciate all of you. Duck Nation, Rogue Disney.
I feel like a Bond villain.
This is amazing. Yeah. You look like a Bond villain. But let's get to some of these chats. We got a member chat. First one that came in was, of course, Ed Brewer. Thank you for that, my friend. Been a member for 5 months. Says afternoon to all of us. And of course, thank you. He says hi to myself, the panel, and the chat, which is fantastic. We also have a super chat from our friend Joker Voice, who says, hail chat. I'll be on Comics and Cosmetics, part of the Red 5 network today, discussing Disney's latest potential debacle, Moon Knight, at 4 PST. Keep talking. Absolutely. And you can definitely check that out. Thanks for the $5 super chat. And I don't mind your self-promotion, my friend. It's good to see you. Good to see you doing stuff. Ham Dinger is here. He's always looking for Tom. TZ Burton is here. Gap Stargate is here. We have another member chat from one of my friends, Sporkin News Podcast. He's been a member for 11 months, saying being a member of this fine channel is worth the money. Well, I hope that's true. Small Time Republic is also put one out there, as did the CJH. CJH says free super chat. Yahoo! Oh, there you go. You're used to that.
I gotta warn the people in the chat. HBP is correct. I'm not wearing any pants, so if there's any children present, you might want to cover their eyes.
It's true. And
I just don't see the point.
Well, I mean, if it's not on camera, you don't have to worry about it.
There's a very good kitty there. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I like
it's a
cats.
lovely animal. Yeah. And okay.
Small Time very loyal to whoever feeds them. You know this.
Small Time Republic is here. It says, hail, beware of Disney executives. Some may be pod people. My goodness. Yeah. All right, folks, let's just get started. We do have some topics. We got a chance to say hi to several of the folks here. If I missed you, it wasn't on purpose. We just need to get to some stuff. Let's see. Who would like to start? Since I feel like we're starting to see the failure of some of these entities.
I'll start. My name is Don Corleone, and I am an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's not the stream.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. This is a Wendy's. No, but anyway.
Well, I'll have the Baconator.
Okay. Let's start here. Morbius shaves teeth to 39 million in its opening. So this is based on some projections. I want to start this conversation and ask a question. Is this kind of, starting to show the loss of power of these films? Is this indicative of that, or is this just a property not a lot of people know about?
Well, I will put mine out there real quick because I don't have a lot of knowledge. But my reason for not seeing it is entirely based off of the CGI. Like, I legit thought that the trailer looked super fun, and I was super digging it and curious as to what was going on. And the second they did a close-up, I was like, nah. Because, like, if you have to have, like, close-ups of your primary character's face and you're CGI-ing it up constantly and it looks that bad, I'm going to be pushed out of the movie. Like, I can't enjoy it when I get drawn to something like that. Kind of like the Sonic the Hedgehog effect. So, like, I don't think it had, at least for some people, had anything to do with the fact it was a superhero movie, but because it just looked gross.
Well, that's an interesting comment, because I've often wondered how much of the continuing downward spiral in sales and box office for a lot of these movies is due to the some of it is obviously due to wokeness. Others may be attributed to just incompetence. Sometimes they're just not very good. Is that a factor? Is it?
Yeah.
I'm curious what Lorena thinks.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, I was muted for a minute. Let me preface this by saying I had zero idea of who Morbius was at all. Like, I didn't know who he was, never heard of him in Marvel Comics at all. So just from the trailers that had come out, I mean, I know he's not a vampire, but this is the vibes that I get. That's kind of like the Bram Stoker-ish vibe that I got. And that's the kind of thing that I like. So I'm like, okay, I'll go watch it and, watch it and give it a chance. If I had to give this movie a grade, I would barely give it like a C-, probably like a D+. I didn't really feel the story was that engaging. And like AFK Bard said, the CGI was horrible. The story was choppy. I didn't feel any connection to the characters, which that's what does it for me. If I feel a connection to the character to make me care to keep watching, and the only reason basically that I kept watching is because I was there. So not a really good flick. And if you are, and this is just me guessing, that if Morbius is a beloved character of yours in the comics, you should be extremely pissed.
Wow.
I'll leave it at that.
Dang. And obviously, I mean, Bruce thinks it didn't succeed because, again, it's a C-list. Somebody, as Lorraine pointed out, a lot of people didn't know anything about. But
I don't know if that's really a factor anymore, though.
I wouldn't really agree, because Iron Man was a C-list. Iron Man was like a C-list
I was going to bring
character
up Guardians,
too.
yeah.
I knew more about Morbius than I did Iron Man, because I watched the Spider-Man show. So to me, Morbius was like afflicted with something. He was a kid in college with Peter. It's a totally different story. So I didn't really connect to it. I was just, I had it on my list to watch, but I wasn't looking forward to it or anything.
Yeah, I know of Morbius more so than even Moon Knight, for that matter.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this movie did a lot worse than I thought it was going to do. And I said it had to do at least 50 million. Wow. I said if it does 40, then that's not good. It did 39. And chances are, this isn't even the final. I bet you it'll go down a little bit, because that's a lot lower than they had anticipated. And they usually kind of do these off of a estimated thing on the last day.
Yeah.
And usually the final numbers come out on Monday, and they're usually about 2, 3, 4 million difference.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's weird. I mean, you know, the Sony's estimates put this, they were low to begin with. They weren't anticipating a big weekend. They expected about 33 million.
Is that where they had it?
Yeah, and of course they are lowballing. Sony lowballs the hell out of this stuff.
They do always,
yeah. But the industry had higher expectations for it, and of course it hasn't even crossed 100 million globally. I think as of right now it sits about 84 million on the estimates. So we'll see.
I mean, I can see where. Okay, let's take away the fact that. I mean, I don't think that that's not totally wrong though, because maybe the character isn't as well, or it's maybe more well known than some of the lesser characters, but I think it's a less what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like how Blade, it was an R-rated, harder kind of scarier thing, like the vampire aspect.
Yeah,
I think that's going to scare off some people. And, you know, like, they're just not going to be into that, right? So it's not going to draw in your typical superhero.
Especially this time of year. Yeah, I mean, you'd think they would release something like that in October.
Well, and I don't see a lot of parents taking younger kids to it as well. That's another thing.
Yeah, and as I say, I think there's an element of this which is we often attribute, and this is not a woke movie apparently. There's an element of this which we always attribute to the wokeness of the industry now, but it could be that there is an element of why attribute it to just that when it could also be incompetence. There's a lot of bad storytelling, a lot of bad effects, as we were saying.
As a bad storyteller, I can attest to that.
No, you're not. I think you could probably do a better job than most in Hollywood, sir. A way better job. But yeah, there's an element of that too. You know, the quality. If this was a quality movie, I think people would be much more up for it. Would be buzzing about it. But like Guardians is a huge hit because it's a fun movie, a well-made fun movie. Again, not a property necessarily extremely well known. This one is, and I haven't seen it, I've got to admit, not yet. It seems to be the buzz is not very well made and very badly, not badly edited as such, but lots chopped out of it, is what I've heard. So you have to struggle to get the narrative.
And I think there was some other bits going on too. I think originally they were aiming for an R rating, and then probably whatever happened behind the scenes with the deals going on, they forced it down to PG-13 like they did with Venom. Because this movie's been done for a while, and then I think it went back for reshoots.
Studio interference, just basic, everyday, average studio interference.
Could be on part of it. Yeah. On the other side of it is clearly they knew they had a stinker. Because I think they did some last-minute reshoots, too, because they pulled spoilers for those who may not know, because he's in the trailer. Right. Michael Keaton's not in the movie proper. Those scenes are nowhere to be seen. Right. So that's what, like Andre was saying, there's clearly like a Zack Snyder-esque director's cut somewhere for this movie.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just been chopped down. And I noticed like a lot of the blood in some of the clips that were online is all black. Now, I don't know if it's that way in the movie, but that's another way they'll get away with trying to get a PG-13 out of an R rating, is to make the blood darker and stuff like that.
I've never been a fan of that. I prefer a well-made R to a chopped out down PG-13. Anyway.
To be honest with you, the only reason it's on my list to watch is because I really liked the last few Sony outings.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing, is actually someone in the chat said that we are expecting consistently good stuff from Sony now, and we're absolutely not.
I got to remind people, No Way Home had very little to do with Sony. That's what I got to remind people.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie had more in common with Venom. Venom had less to do with Sony, or less to do with Disney than No Way Home did, because it was Feige's writers on that thing. What's his face? The director is one of Feige's directors. It was basically produced by Marvel Studios and handed over to Sony. I'm sure they had a few notes, but outside of them okaying the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and other versions of the previous incarnations, that's all Sony had to do. And
isn't that proof, Tom, that Marvel could still do something really good if they wanted to?
I think so. And I think that a lot of people are like, well, yeah, but it wasn't woke. It wasn't woke. It wasn't woke. Like, the answer to that is Sony. It's like, no, that's not necessarily because people forget that Amy Pascal is one of the people was one of the first woke producers, and she is the one who's in control.
Yeah.
If you don't have Kevin Feige in there, once you remove him from the equation, that's where you get Amazing Spider-Man from, like Amy Pascal and Tobin and Avi Arad and shit like that. Those are the people that drove that franchise into the fucking ground in the first place. People keep forgetting that, and those people are still there. The only thing that's keeping them between us and them right now is Kevin Feige in the MCU, and Tom Rothman is like, he fucking hates superhero shit. Fucking hates it with a passion, and he's publicly has said that many times.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's more than happy to let Kevin Feige and Marvel handle this shit, and they just collect checks. And especially after Morbius just bombed like this, I guarantee you there's going to be less of a separation than they were setting up here. Because the way it looked now between this, No Way Home, and Venom 2, they were allowing Kevin Feige to have his cake and eat it too, and Amy Pascal and those guys to do their thing on a little side, as long as, you know, it's still associated with Marvel and tangentially. This is what she meant by tangentially, probably. In the first place. But her initial plan was to pull Spider-Man out of the fucking MCU, period. And then she was going to continue to go on and do their own thing, and nobody would know the wiser but us, right? Us who actually understand this ins and out of like rights and shit like that. But Tom Rothman stepped in and said, "What are you doing?" Because Tom Holland was like, "Please, Daddy Iger and Daddy Tom, please fix this, because, you know, I don't want to leave the MCU." Well, at that moment, everybody fucking panicked, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And like, yeah, so they made this new deal, and it's like a 50-50 deal almost, and it's going to go on even longer now that Morbius bombed and Spider-Man made as much money as it did. So anybody who hated the fact that Spider-Man's in the MCU, I'm sorry, it's going to continue, and it's probably going to get even more intense.
But I think that's a good thing. It's simpler.
Yeah.
If he's part of
Well,
the
I think
MCU.
after No Way Home, a lot of people have come around, right? Like, because I've been combating the Spider-Boy shit quite a bit, because I was always the first one to say, well, look, the people throwing shit at the Homecoming one, you know, Tony Stark was not nearly in that movie as much as people say he is. And not only that, the whole point of the movie is him doing shit without the Stark technology. Now, the second film I can't argue with, because Tony looms over that movie so fucking hardcore. But that third movie, I think they finally got it right.
They got it right.
And most people agree. And anyway, but I don't want to talk too much longer because I've been taking most of the conversation now. So anyway.
Well, no, and I just wanted to update this looks like they're updating the weekend estimates up to 43 million. Still not a stellar outing. And interestingly enough, you know, this is a good question. Willie asks, is 75 million too much for the budget?
Is that what this is budgeted at? Because if that's the case, then they might make their money back, but it's not going to do well.
Well, I've heard that's net budget, so maybe, you know, but I think their gross was closer to 100 million. But go ahead.
It's also important to remember that these people didn't just all these people that are making these bad movies used to make really good movies.
Yeah.
That's something we need to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So I think that pendulum is getting to the top, and it's going to start swinging back very soon.
We can only hope. And you're right. I mean, we used to get good films. Now we're getting bad films. I think that they're finding it really difficult to incorporate the stuff that we hate, the politics, whatever you want to call it, the
message.
From just a looking in standpoint, what it looks like, they're trying to do the easy thing, what they think is the easy thing, instead of creating new stuff that blends with their woke ideology and tells a good story. They're trying to take the easy way and take over other things, and it just doesn't work. And they don't get it. They're numbers people. They don't get it.
Well, you stopped having creatives be in charge of movie properties quite some time. I mean, Tom and I have been talking about, and Lorraine.
Well, they've never had complete control, but the difference before is at least the producers and the studio people above that, you had a better chance of the notes they were throwing down. At least they had a better chance of hitting with the audience than this shit is going to, right?
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of this shit now is the pandering bullshit and all that nonsense. I mean, it's written around the whole idea of that, as opposed to, at least with as bad as Morbius may be, the one thing I'm hearing, and I don't know who else seen it on the panel. I think Lorena, you said you saw it, but like Andre said that he said there was no woke in it. He goes, what diversity was there felt natural. So
right. I didn't get woke vibes at all with watching.
And that's not a gauge to say it's good.
No, it's just like that usual of, oh my gosh, here goes the woke nonsense. Here they go preaching at us. Here they go doing this, that, and that thing. But that didn't happen. So
it sounds, Lorena, that it's like what we used to have until a few years ago, where Diversity was an accepted thing. We didn't see it anymore. It was cast on the basis who was the best for the role, instead of now this overtly forced thing that's in our face. We had got over all that, including in movies, and it was just, there's the cast, they're all great. Now we got to forcibly show you this.
Yeah,
this person is in this role because.
And I don't want to get down.
So it sounds like Morbius is more old school in that it's just.
Well, that's what Andre said too. Is it feels like a '90s or 2000s movie, and I want to see it myself because I want to look at it from the perspective of. And this is how I saw the trailers: is maybe people are being so harsh on it because they've got such high expectations now between the MCU and the Snyderverse and things of that sort. Where I think that maybe if people went into this with the mentality like I was going to go into it and I backed off because of everybody's reaction, but I was originally going to go into it with like, oh, I'm going to go see a cheesy B movie, right?
Right.
But that's not some of the problems I'm hearing from. I'm hearing it's more of the story flow and the way it's chopped up because Andre said it felt like it was very truncated, and that's what some other people are saying too.
So the pacing is off.
They're saying that you're missing pieces.
That's what it seems like in parts.
But see, that doesn't surprise me because of all the stuff that it was allegedly cut out of it that we know for sure was removed. So I'm going to see the film. I'm just not excited to see it as I was originally. Again, I had 4 films I was looking forward to this year. This was one of them. So this is very disappointing for a lot of people. And, our friend Rogue Disney says he's having a hard time finding it. It's not playing at Disney Springs,
it's not
right?
playing in here either in town, so I'm going to have to go see it somewhere.
It's insane. And this is a major Sony Marvel release,
So why is that, I wonder? I mean, why is it not being given that?
I just don't know if it had the appeal, honestly. And I don't think like I said, I don't think it's the B level so much as just that it's the vampire aspect and the kid factor.
Well, the sad thing is they could have done such a cool stuff with it. I mean, it's such a cool idea. They could have done an amazing thing with it. And
I think what's going to boil down to is this is one of those things that, like, I think we're going to see, I think at least my personal opinion, I don't know if you guys agree, I want to hear you guys' points. If going down the road, if we look at this going, this is going to be another one of those that should have been rated R out the gate, because all you did by making it PG-13 is kill its potential with the audience it could have had, because kids can't see it because it's PG-13 and parents aren't going to drag them to it anyway. So what was the point? You should have just made it R.
It's a good question.
Yes, I agree entirely.
Do they understand the dual projection that they're doing with pushing the woke ideology on one hand with the bill, and then on the other hand saying, oh, we don't want to show certain kinds of things to kids? It's
a little easier to make the argument when it comes to scariness, because I don't think either side is going to argue that point. Like, that's a little different than the.
I don't know. I mean, I watched The Exorcist.
I don't want to get into that other part, but
I didn't either. I'm just trying to. Well, it's like a divergent thought process that they just, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's very strange. And I need to get to a couple of quick supers real quick. We've got, of course, Darius Munchausen. He shot us his traditional box of popcorn. Thank you for that, Darius. Appreciate your support, my friend. And, oftentimes a show's sponsor here, Blue-Eyed Rip Curry in the Bays for $5 says, with the blowback that Disney is receiving from all sides, and this is true, and we'll get into that hopefully later in the show, are other media corporations paying attention, or will they try to push back even harder? That's a good question. What do you guys think?
Well, Storyman mentioned the pendulum, and he's right. The pendulum is now reaching potentially what is going to become a hard stop, because otherwise it's going to go all the way around. Now, Neil Oliver, I'm a big fan of, fellow Scotsman, and he said today, the pendulum hasn't just been swinging, it's been getting pushed hard to hit that stop from below. Yeah. So I think when it hits it, and I think we're pretty close, I think the reaction will be a very, very swift and completely in the other direction over correction. Mm-hmm. So,
which is something that most people don't want either, right? No, I mean, that's the other problem.
We want to get back to what we had in the middle, which was, here's good content with, there may be subtle messaging in it, but it's messaging we can all support.
Right. Can I ask, because I kind of want to ask Lorena this first. Are you worried about Doctor Strange now?
I am extremely worried. I've been worried about it. The more that I see, the more worried that I get. And this was a film that I was very much looking forward to, especially after my favorite character in the MCU, Tony Stark, got whacked in
right,
in Endgame. I get it, but it didn't sit very well with me, and I'm kind of like, I'm done with MCU movies. But I'm like, wait a minute, I do like Doctor Strange, and I did like the first Doctor Strange movie, so I've been very much looking forward to the second one and just seeing like all the craziness that could happen with that. But the more that I see get released, and the more that I see that Wanda Maximoff is being pushed up in that, granted, I like the Scarlet Witch, but not nearly as much as I do Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange was also one of my favorite Marvel comics characters. So I'll see the film, but I'm very nervous about what they're going to do with it.
Yeah. Mock, thoughts?
Thoughts about Morbius?
No, are you worried about Doctor Strange now with all of this stuff recently?
With the multiverse of madness, the way I look into it is, I've said I'm done with the MCU, and I made that clear. But looking from the outside looking in, we'll see where they go with it. But the signs are definitely there. For example, not having Wanda kind of basically acknowledge that what she did in WandaVision was pretty effed up.
Thank you.
And it's not really unjustifiable.
Yes. Not happy with
they
that.
They may do a great job in retconning and basically starting from scratch with America Chavez. And I see where the possibilities it could lead to. It could lead to X-Men. It could lead to all these different things. It could lead to Fantastic Four. It could lead to just, with them wanting to keep the multiverses, down to one single universe. It's going to open up a lot of possibilities, but at the same time, with those possibilities are going to open up a ocean full of problems. And not just with characters, but with continuity. You've seen how they subtly screw up, mess up things here and there, how they subtly change continuities, such as, for example, what was it in Captain Marvel, retconning the Tesseract, how Nick Fury lost his eye, how the Avengers were made, what was the origin of the Avengers.
I think
those things are going to be changing. They're going to make those changes. There's going to be new possibilities, of course, but there's going to be plenty of changes to the retcon that only people like Lorena, like everybody on this panel, like people in the chat, like the people who are actual, purists, or people who've been huge fans of the MCU from phase 1 all the way up to Endgame are going to notice, and they may start to point out. I don't see where the direction that it's going to end up being a net positive for everyone. Not every single person
and
with it.
Yeah, I think you just kind of outlined it. I think you just kind of outlined all of our fears. I think you did a great job.
I keep bouncing around. I'm looking forward to it a bit more now, more so than I was before. Like, at first I was really excited for it because of Sam Raimi, and then I got a little bit more worried when shit started hitting the fan with the MCU. And then all of a sudden Spider-Man No Way Home knocks it out the park, and they're talking about reshoots after the fact. So, like, to me, it's like, I feel like maybe there's a chance this could be really good. It may not be nearly as good as No Way Home, but I'm thinking it could be up there. But hopefully it's not bad. I have faith in Sam Raimi. I don't think he's a bad director, and I have a hard time believing you'd let him come in and not let him have a little, because that's the thing is, normally I would say, yes, Feige will bring in these malleable directors that he can just plug into whatever the hell he's doing, like a showrunner. But the few times that he's brought in somebody like this, it's normally to kind of let them have a little fun. Like a James Gunn, Kenneth Branagh, even the beginning with Favreau and Iron Man, for instance. I mean, it wasn't until a little later he had this butting heads with things with like Edgar Wright and stuff like that. And that wasn't even really so much butting heads as they just didn't, his version of
different vision.
Don't get Jeff Loeb on the TV side.
Well, Jeff Loeb's a different monster. Jeff Loeb sucks. Like,
Well,
so that's my
I
problem with him.
partially agree. I think that
there's some stuff he does is okay, but I hate
the
him. So.
I mean, as
potential
far
is
as buddy
there.
heads go, so
I think the potential's there, but I think we have just as much of a chance of Doctor Strange fixing the real life multiverse of madness going on as that Disney's going to get this right.
I agree. Yeah,
they're not going to get it right. I don't see
the potential's there, just like with Morbius. If they would have handled that differently and plugged it as a kind of vampire tale that was marketed in the right time of the year and really put a story behind it and let it be rated R, then I think it would have been better off. The potential's there, but I just think they keep stepping on their own feet.
I think the proof is going to be in how this ends up, because I wasn't first interested in the movie until I heard that Sam Raimi was going to be directing, and Sam Raimi has directed some of my favorite films. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm prepared for this to be a complete crap show if that happens.
Can I argue with Xena?
Can I ask y'all this? And I think I remember somebody else pointing this out earlier this week, is that you go to superhero films and the only thing people are interested in is seeing the after credits stinger. And what we saw with Morbius, it feels like opens it up. The idea is like, and I don't want to be asked with you guys, for those who are interested in seeing Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, are you actually going to be interested in seeing the story of that play out? Or you're just interested in the cameos in the after credit stinger, what's that setting up, instead of the story itself? I guess that's
I'm interested in the story.
Yeah, I'm interested
in for me.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested in hearing what Fat Steven has. He just joined us and then he dropped and then he came back. Steven, have you been paying attention to what's happening with Morbius and our concerns over Doctor Strange?
Well, first of all, I did watch Morbius, and it had aspects from the 90s Morbius from the cartoon from Fox Kids, because I'll give them credit with that. But whoever's in charge of their CGI, it was all over the place, and it was like they couldn't, when it came to close-ups, I was like, what is going on? It's like it was trying to be a full Blade, but without Blade and Midnight's. It had this weird feel like it was missing something, and I don't think Matt Smith was done credit for his enemy. That it threw me out of it. You got a guy who's known as being a Time Lord as well, and in the Doctor Who franchise, and they wasted him. They literally wasted him, and they also wasted him with bad CGI. I think the CGI was bad a lot of times, especially in the close-ups. Secondly, they had a much better story to keep the love interest between him and the female Doctor and go along those roads and make something more fulfilling. Whether it's rated R or not, the story has holes. The whole movie has holes, like keeping your attention, because it's, you know what I mean? Look, there's like half a soul. That's a joke because he's technically a vampire. Doesn't really have a soul. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's not there for me. It's not bad, but it's not great. My fears when it comes down to the multiverse is it doesn't matter how many Easter eggs you have. Sam Raimi, yes, I love, but at the end of the day, who's pulling the final calls? And that's Disney Marvel. Well, and with that, what?
No, I was just going to say you're going to see a record number of cameos in this.
That's
film.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's also an over reliance on that is a compensation for other things.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, because I think you might have a little bit more information than I do, or even Lorraine or Culture, is they're also including the 90s X-Men cartoon as part of the multiverse or something weird like that. And if you have to go that far back to use the cartoon and you're not even having faith in the Fox stuff before, we don't mention the Phoenix movies or the Blue Smurf Apocalypse movie.
Well, they're using Patrick Stewart from the 90s X-Men.
I was going to say,
I did not appreciate hearing that.
Well, and that goes along with the rumors I heard that they're trying to bring Hugh Jackman back in for a few more.
They are.
That's the thing though with the Patrick Stewart though. If anyone is a knower or a watcher of the X-Men cartoons from the 90s, there was I think a 2-parter or 3-parter where I think Apocalypse, Magneto, and someone else were capturing all the psychics of the world and trapping them within, like, you know what I'm talking about, like the area of the door, like trying to smash all realities, or you know what I'm talking about, and that's where Bishop got trapped with that loco dude. And I think they're trying to like brought in different types of story aspects from not only the comics or different cartoons, but I don't know how they're going to pull that off. Like we all remember the last time we saw from Patrick Stewart as Professor X, as he died, going loco with Hugh Jackman. So I don't understand why
you're just waiting for me to fucking die.
Stephen,
you just want me to crap my pants again with my wheels on the Enterprise.
He could apologize for dying. I mean, that could be what
I'm
we
sorry.
I'm sorry I died. I'm so
This
sorry.
is kind of the same thing with Matt Smith, right? A terrific actor who could knock something out of the park and they misuse him.
Yeah.
They're going to do the same thing with these cameos. I just can't trust Disney anymore.
Consider the fact that they literally did the same kind of style of filmmaking that they're doing now with this Doctor Strange rehash as they did with the Star Wars thing that we all got incredibly frustrated with at the end. I mean, there weren't just rumors, there were actors shooting parts for a film that they didn't even use. There was the storyline that it was telling was completely abandoned in the film.
Well, we can also put it. Sorry, Culture.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We can also put it this way: if everyone remembers Matt Smith's final episodes in the Doctor Who series and how he did that speech before he got re-energized through the rift from wherever Gallifrey was, you don't get acting like that at the precipice of your career, like Tennant and other people. Like you don't, and that's also a sign of how much you should have faith in your actors, not just to make him a villain, but you should have made it something a lot more grand. Why is he just like Morbius? That makes no sense. Couldn't have had a different effect because of his illness? Changed it somehow. Why couldn't it be he got out, escaped, and then it opened up a door? I hated that secret scene. I'm not even spoiling, but what the hell are they doing over there?
Yeah,
and back to my original thing. At the end of the day, it's still Disney in charge, right? Still Marvel in charge. And the way things are going right now, as much as we want to have retcons of going back to, hopefully they fix everything. Let's see what they're doing with Florida and the way they can stab anyone in the back because they're trying to go down this road, even with leaked phone calls or whatever, is they don't want that. We're not their designated audience anymore.
No. And that's what
they
I was
are
about to say.
They want us gone.
That's what they want because remember, they have their VP of diversity and inclusion. What is their main job? That's what their main job is.
Yeah,
they want quote unquote representation. It doesn't matter about the story. There's a certain percentage of representation that they want and that they expect.
And it's foul and it's screwing everything up. And speaking of that perspective, we are all going to be very nervous going into Doctor Strange because of that reason, Lorena, because of the stuff that they're trying to insert. We have a super chat from Felicity Poubelle for $10. Hey, Felicity. She says, I was nervous going into No Way Home due to Doctor Strange doing the spell, but I excused it because the movie was great. If they can't justify Strange's choice in Mom for me, Multiverse of Madness, by the way, that may ruin the film for me. It may ruin it for a lot of people.
That's one of the bits that I didn't like about the whole scene with what's her face, Scarlet Witch, where she's like, "Oh yeah, you guys can go change, the whole course of history, but I go do what I do," and blah 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 blah. Meaning that she's clearly got reprimanded or somebody said something to her about what she did. But she clearly doesn't feel like she did anything wrong. Now,
it's accountability.
It's the accountability factor. But I hope, because some of the things they're hinting towards, is that she's going to end up being the villain in this film, which I'm fine with. Like, if they go to that point, let's go there. Fuck it.
I heard Lorena makes a great point. It is Sam Raimi. I mean, like it or not, he does good movies.
And that's where I said it before, the first time, before all this Spider-Man stuff. And this is what kind of tipped me off, because we were getting little leaks and things, and that just sounds weird. Then all of a sudden, Sam Raimi gets announced to take over for Doctor Strange 2. And I said, that's the first thing I said to Andre. I said, something's up here. You don't just bring Sam Raimi in to direct Doctor Strange 2. Like, I get it, he's a fan of Doctor Strange, but you don't bring him in just for that. There's something going on with this Spider-Man deal. That's where I started believing that we were getting Toby and Andrew Garfield back.
And that was nostalgia used almost perfectly. Not too much, maybe a little too much, but not too much.
But that's the problem, Jack. As much as it's Sam Raimi, we know Sam Raimi's work in history. He can't always make everything a Spider-Man 1 a Spider-Man 2. And Disney's probably relying on the name more than the quality, because we all have these debates every time a film comes out. And we get either half and half or half-assed.
As a Sort of Truth fan, I have to agree.
And I want to share something with you, Culture. That's what I was talking about, because this is my fears where they're ripping off from the X-Men. X-Men, is it up there?
Yep.
Right. If everyone remembers this episode where they were capturing the psychics, like all the psychics, Apocalypse, Magneto. You remember what I'm talking about now? And then Xavier was there, all this stuff. This is the feeling I'm getting. And I have a feeling we're going to get like a different, maybe even a different Bishop. But the way it's all in, and the way I was watching that design, the same gray color scale, is they're just taking bits and pieces. And as much as they're trying to, as we see stuff like this, it has the same feel, the same building almost. It feels like it, except it's in a grayscale, that they are just taking bits and pieces and they're going to throw it together and they're going, Sam, please do something. Because why is it Doctor Strange needed reshoots after No Way Home's success?
Why?
And that was
ask yourself this question, right? Why are we introducing the Illuminati? Why? I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to be dropped into this film, and
I knew the reshoots had more to do with adding cameos. That's what I heard. So,
and isn't this dude here, if I remember correctly, he is not celestial, but he is one of like the cosmic beings in the X-Men or Marvel universe, right?
Eternal.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's an Eternal, but he was always like bugging around like the janitor, but then at the end you see him transform into something else. So we're not going to get the X-Men we want. We're not going to get the things we want. We're going to get tidbits. And like the
what you were saying, Steven, with that whole thing with like Star Wars and the EU, right?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. I get where you're coming from. But that's kind of already what X-Men's been. That's kind of already what the MCU has been. And I'm not making excuses. I'm going to wait and see. It could be a horrible fucking mess. Now, Morbius, though, I don't know. Here's the thing with Morbius is we cannot go and turn around and make the opposite problem we did with a lot of people did with Spider-Man. We got to remember that Morbius is more to do with Sony's side of things. I have no idea how much inclusion Feige has with Morbius. This comes from, and this is why I can't believe they didn't boast this more. Like Avi Arad and all that shit. Why didn't they boast this like from the guys who brought you Blade?
Leto was great though. He was a great Morbius. I'm not going to deny that, but it's like they WandaVisioned it. Like it's like hey, here's Morbius. We got a great actor. Now we brought Ralph Boner the rest.
But you're gonna.
I have two things. Yeah, go ahead, Culture.
No, please.
Sorry,
because I'm going to jump on the super chat when you're done. So,
number one is: does it seem to you with this, with Venom and the way they've gone with that, and now Morbius, from what we're hearing, that they're trying to make a B version of the Marvel universe?
I gotta preface this with semi spoilers, kids, because I have seen the extra scene at the end, so I knew it because I knew that was going on.
Banner for that?
Do you have a banner? Better just turn your mute off for 5 seconds or
well,
wait. For those that don't care,
don't care,
can I type it in the private chat or no?
Well, whoever says it out loud and is on camera should make a hand signal, because whenever someone says put it on mute for 5 seconds, it's never quite that. So make a signal.
Okay, Culture, put your hand up. All right. Basically, the way this movie sets it up, and this is what I was telling you guys from before, they are going to have a multiverse where this is now at the end of this, in the extra scene with Michael Keaton, he got kicked into an alternate universe. He is no longer in the Tom Holland side of things. He is now in the Venom / Morbius universe, just as Tom, what's his name, Hardy. His Venom now is back into his universe, supposedly, or whatever, where he bounced into the MCU for a little bit, right? So like that's what they're doing. So they're letting Kevin Feige go off and do his own Venom and all that kind of shit. And then they're going to try and set it up the Sinister Six, but I'm not sure that's going to happen now. Again, if this Morbius movie doesn't turn out as good as they were hoping, because Venom was a hit, this wasn't. So we'll see. But that's basically what's going on here, kids. They're in an alternate universe.
And then my other
point, the question is, they didn't. Sorry. But he also has to team up, though, Tom. If you remember that, I'm sorry, I mean to just drop bombs. So still have your hands up.
I do. I'm okay. So I want to hear what Jack has to say, and then I got to get to some super chats and some other chats. But we're done with spoiler territory. Are we done?
Almost. I just want to say one thing though. I don't remember any Sinister Six where Morbius and V were in the same team.
Doesn't
Same
matter.
Okay, it's not the Sinister then, is it?
It goes back to my point before though. It'll be whatever version they come up with. But I don't even know if it's going to happen.
There are no rules anymore, Stephen.
They got kicked into either Toby or Andrew Garfield's universe is what happened.
And the treatment of the Sinister Six doesn't look good, guys. And that's it. No more spoilers. All right.
So I know you're going to read a super chat, Culture, but I just wanted to say on that I'm a big science fiction fan. And I love alternate universes and multiverses and all sorts of stories about that. But I recognize that it's so very easy to use that concept to make up for poor writing, poor ideas, Deus Ex Machina solutions, and that's going to get seriously misused. It has been already, and it's going to be misused by Marvel and others going forward very much.
Yeah. So and Jack wanted to say something before.
I was just going to make an observation that as disgusted and as much as I despise what Disney's become, I'm still rooting for this to be good.
Yeah. Okay.
I really hope it's good. I hope it's good. I'm prepared for it to not be good, but I mean, I don't want another MCU movie to get trash.
I don't either.
There's one thing you forgot. There's one thing I forgot. I think we should all pull our mind together and just ask Will Smith to slap the Marvel universe into something else.
Wow.
Can I say my piece just to make this real quick, because I want to pair it on what Lorena was saying earlier. When we were talking about, Marvel VP diversity, Victoria Alonso, what this is going to happen, and this approach is going to, and we all say about this, the way they're kind of going with this, what this is going to happen is not only they're going to diminish the remaining characters, the remaining heroes, but what this is also going to do, especially with the approach that Victoria Alonso is going and what Lorena was saying earlier, this is going to diminish all of the new heroes in the process. I say this because, and I'm going to hit stop here because I want to kind of explain this better. What I'm saying is this past 2 weeks, and I know Lorena, Fats, everybody who's on Twitter, we have been seeing this outpour of people are talking about the whole Miles being, the character Miles Morales having like this multiverse where he's Thor, he's Hulk, he's all these kind of things. This highlights what this problem is going to be, because you're just going to diminish. I'm calling this right now. You're going to diminish Kamala Khan in her new series, and when the moment they bring Miles into the MCU, and they will bring Miles into the MCU, he will be diminished as well. He will not have an identity because you have been overusing him. Well, he didn't have an identity to begin with because of the whole Peter Parker thing.
You're forgetting something, Mac. You're forgetting something.
Yes.
There's still one missing MCU character from WandaVision that we haven't even heard anything about, and we don't know where, and when, or how they're going to use it, and that's White Vision. I'm sorry, can I say White Vision? But he's still AFK, and we have one character still floating around.
Right? So
he's not evil.
But what I'm saying is,
he's not evil. He's looking for his identity because he is now. Yeah, he's not evil. He's now.
Remember, he and the other Vision had that whole existential conversation.
You mean the Superman battle ripoff from the other movie?
Yeah, that one.
Man.
Yeah, it's
that one.
Yeah, he has a non-binary soul.
Yeah,
he's Mayo Vision.
Right, and what I'm saying is with these new characters, well, these characters have been around for a while now. With the kind of the new characters that they've been pushing since in the comics, is we are going to see Riri Williams, Ironheart. They're going to they're not going to have
please don't start me on that.
Grand Theft Iron Man. That's what we're going to see.
Let me explain.
Sorry,
these characters will not have their staying power, no matter how hard they try to push it. And guarantee you, Victoria Alonso, they're going to push it hard with these new characters. They're not going to have that strong of a staying power. They're not going to have that lasting effect. People want to think they have that lasting effect because, representation and all that stuff. In reality, they're not. There's nothing strong to back to back behind it. That's why when I look
Yeah,
at
it's all
as much
fake.
as much as I like characters like Miles, he's not
It's
strong.
never a
character.
lead character
You're
in
giving
that
him-
sense.
Yeah, because
It's
you're
all
giving him
forced and
roles
fake.
to be. He's not his own. He doesn't feel like he's his own identity.
Right. Well, they've been doing that for a long time,
And then
Mock.
He's
and-
you're going to
cosplaying as
see the
Peter
same
Parker.
thing. You're going to see the
Cosplaying, yeah.
exact same thing. In
Well,
Phase
and the
4
bottom
onward.
line
You're going to
is-
see that. Sorry.
And the bottom line is with Marvel, they've changed storylines and origin stories in the comics for years. So
Right.
it should have been a slam dunk to be able to do it correctly. But they just won't do it correctly. And
Right.
and all the forced diversity is
It's
fake.
going to be hollow.
That's why it doesn't resonate.
The characters
Also,
they're
can
going
I
to
just,
introduce are going to feel hollow. Sorry.
Also, another thing that I'm going to introduce here, even though we are talking about Disney, but just something that I would like for everyone to keep in mind. Just because they cast a minority character
Mhm.
doesn't automatically mean that it's a diversity hire.
No.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
That's a
No.
theme.
No.
That's a theme that unfortunately I've been hearing.
Oh, wow.
And I would kind of like for people to kind of
Push back on it.
understand that, push back on,
Yeah.
push back on that. Because again, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
If it's a great
It depends
character,
on
nobody cares what they
It
look
depends on
like.
how
What
they
they
portray
look
it.
like is
Yeah, it
That's what I was
depends on how
trying to
it's
get at
portrayed.
earlier. It doesn't. There was a
It's
time
just-
it didn't matter.
Exactly.
Right, and that's
I
what I was
think
saying. Is just
they're-
like
I
no
There-
substance. There's not
there's-
going to be any
there-
substance.
Exactly, Makani.
They-
No substance.
Lorena's,
Authenticity.
Lorena's nailed it, though, is because we're seeing a lot of forefront of who they are, what their skin color is, or their religion, their ethnicity, who they bang in the middle of the night, how far they tuck it between their legs or not tuck it, and that's overtaking the fact that before all that, it doesn't matter any of that. Is how you delivered your role, how you acted, and how it was delivered, and that was called a resume, I believe, at one time. We used to
Yeah.
use resumes.
Though
in this
it's
day and age, right?
it's all about the visibility, right? Or like now, or the optics, I should say, where
Mm.
they've been pushing so hard that you need to hire
Mhm.
this many of whatever.
Yeah.
That anytime there's a hiring now, it's like the forefront of somebody's head now, and it's like, and I wouldn't just say it from like the outside. It's just like for me. Like I would always have a doubt in my head if I'm checking boxes when I am, trying to apply for a job, if I'm actually going to get the job because I am the best person for it, or if I just match up to the checkbox. And like that doubt is out there now. And it's weird because it's kind of like the reversal where, there's always been this doubt of, will I not get this job because of this or that and the other? And now it's like, did I get this job because of that?
See, and that's a real problem. I
Mm.
mean, we're gonna be asking those questions for a long time now, and not only that, I think some of these companies have opened themselves up to horrific lawsuits, class action suits, based for hiring practices and things like that. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think we're going to see that in the near future. But real quickly, again, our sponsor, Blue Eyed Roof Korean the Base for $5 says, "Yar, if you were sailing the high seas, what would the panelist pirate name Yar? Something creative and unique to reflect your personality. What would our pirate name be? That's a good question.
I think Darius came up with mine, Captain Brian McRockfan.
I think I would be Cutlass Casino.
Cutlass Casino.
There you go. That's good.
But-
Good alliteration there.
There's one thing I want to quickly say, and this
Okay.
has to do with what's been going on. What if they're using all these member berries in multiverse as a farewell, and they decide to go a different route, and whatever happens after Doctor Strange turns out to be that horrifying comic that we've seen with Children of the Atom, with all the gender swaps and all of that, and that's their new X-Men they're going with.
Well, it's an Etch-a-Sketch. They could shake it now with the multiverse. They don't have to fix it.
They have a Gambit wannabe who literally kinetically charges pins out of a pin cushion and throws it at enemies. Please don't wear goggles.
I think that would be.
That
I
sounds
think
like
that
a
would be.
mystery man.
I think that would be mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, the
Honestly,
pins
I
thing
think
sounds like a
it's,
mystery men character.
But revisiting the super chat. What's your pirate name there, Jack?
Oh, all the good ones are taken. There's Samurai Jack. There's Mad Jack the pirate. I mean, Jack's been overused.
I'm sorry.
I would say sorry, I'm not going to say.
I would suggest that Lorena's name would be the same as it is now. That's a great pirate name.
Thank you, because I couldn't think of a freaking thing.
You have the perfect name for a pirate.
It's a good point, Tom. Tom, what's your pirate name if you were sailing the 70s?
The Terrible Tom? I have no idea.
Ooh, all right, okay. Let's see, Machini. What are you going to be?
Assume the position.
Tortuga Tom. That would be Tom.
No. What were you saying, Mach? Couldn't hear you, bud.
Something like Machini the Craftsman.
Oh, I like that. That's cool. That's cool. AFK?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know, but thank you for that. And again, also, this is a really important point TZ Burton brings up. Tim Pool and the Daily Wire are building a media alternative to Hollywood, I think, and that's actually starting to spread.
I heard about that actually.
Well, I've been writing original fiction for a while now.
Yeah.
Culture, can I say one thing? Do you understand it's been 2 years? It has been 2 years and still no safe space is Snowflake. I'm just saying. It has been 2 years.
I ordered the book, right? I ordered it and it got canceled. I was like, oh man.
You need to hear this part though. The normies out there, when you bring up this comic book saying that this was actually to come out, they don't believe you. And I have had to have conversations with people and like, look it up. This is a real thing. And they're like, this was going to be a real book. Like, yes, they tried to push this. This is how far.
This and Children of the Atom were supposed to come out at the same time. And to pair it what Fats was saying, another thing people seem to forget with Children of the Atom is that those characters, those aren't mutants. They're just fanboys. They just want to have power just because they want to be fanboys. They just want to be their sidekicks. That's all.
That's
true.
Well, Bruce Lombardo weighs in with a box of popcorn from just a few moments ago. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I think he says, will the Doctor Strange movie be a bunch of Hollywood has-beens with a black and dye representing the freshly brought into the Illuminati middle circle? Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. It's going to be a bunch of folks. Again, marching Patrick Stewart back into this is going to be a problem.
I'm so sorry.
Well, he's just okay. Can I just ask?
Picard won't be the only thing he's apologizing for. Is that what's going on?
I mean, no, this is the thing. They were saying how they're gonna have one more season, and then it's it because he's just so friggin' old or whatever. So I'm just like, what? From that point on, are they just literally wheeling him out onto set whenever they need him? And I don't mean this.
It's a wheelchair.
I totally have to choke. Because there was this soap opera my mom watched when I was a kid, and it had Grandma Horton. I don't know if people know that, but she was this old lady in the 80s, and literally up until 2000 whatever, she would show up for the family holiday events in the soap, but then they would only refer to her by name for the rest of the year, and we would be joking that they would just wheel her in for those scenes, and then they just take her out, and it's just how is Picard or how is that any investment? And I mean this in the most honest sense of having somebody that old be reintroduced into any movie series.
Well, it's a good point. They could have him just off camera.
Eugenics.
Referring to him and talking to him just off camera. So he's not actually there.
Or we could do into the Stewart verse, just like a passion.
I'm kind of bothered because I think the reason why they're using Illuminati is because they are still going along with Secret War, if I remember correctly.
They are.
Yes.
Okay, so who is going to be playing Namor? Who is going to be? It's going to be Tom Cruise as Tony Stark. My bad. Reed Richards, Black Bolt, Dr. Stephen Strange, and Charles Wheelbarrow Xavier. So those are the main leaders of the Illuminati, right? So,
could you imagine something that the Hollywood machine keeps going in the direction it's going? Do you know who's going to be the Steven Spielbergs, the George Lucases, the Robert Jordans of the future? It's going to be the kind of people that orbit this fellowship, like the comic book creators that we have, the storytellers, people like Machini. Those are going to be the people that are going to usher in a new era if they do it correctly.
I think you're right. I mean, and I left Steven up there for some unknown reason, but real quickly, No, that wasn't it. You guys were talking about this. I mean, and again, courtesy and thanks to Lorena for mentioning, and also Makini, the diversity stuff, and this Victoria Alonso person that they continue to march up the chain like she's significant, and she basically is touting in this Hollywood Reporter article from this morning that she had a 45-minute conversation with CEO Bob Chapek about his response to the Florida bill, the Education and Parents' Rights bill, that they continue to misstate. Again, I'm tired of this being misstated. And if any, and you know what? I'm with her. Let's take a stand. I'm going to take a stand against these incredibly destructive thought processes that are being pushed by the studios and these media entities alike. I'm sure many people would be with me.
I have talked
absolutely.
to. I was talking with 70s rock fan and Jack behind the scenes before the show started.
Yeah.
And I will say that ever since this bill was passed, it has been an absolute chaos for the past couple of weeks. We have seen so many people's the mask is slipping. We're seeing the mask slip off on a lot of people, and it's really causing even more of a divide when there shouldn't need even to be a divide.
Well, what is where's the sanity? The extreme pushback for this bill has been has just blown my mind as to how many people are against it.
Yeah,
it's just they're kids. And it's anytime anybody starts talking about it in the negative fashion by referring to it as the "Don't Say Gay" bill, I just stop listening because they're clearly not in the know.
It's a common tactic that's been used. I mean, if the state of Florida has been, in the bullseye politically for quite some time, we have a governor who does the best for the people of Florida. And if he has to fight against the federal government, he's shown that he will do it. So that's already made him an enemy to start with.
Yeah.
With being so disingenuous as to term this the "Don't Say Gay" bill, they put that into the narrative. It's saying that you can't say gay. You can't say gay when that has nothing whatsoever to do with that. But that's part of what they do to get their troops riled up and push back against this, because how dare parents in Florida have any governance over their children's education, and that's what they don't like.
But Lorena, you're 100% right, and Chris Neville points out so many people haven't read the bill. It's not massive. You're not reading a tome.
It's only 2 pages.
If you read everything, including all the remedies, it's only 12 pages.
Yeah.
The only thing that phrase is meant to do is be a cattle prod.
It is.
That's it.
Completely.
By the way, I have lost all respect for Abigail Disney after that little tweet.
Oh man,
she lost her freaking mind. It basically shows that what do they call it? What, champagne socialists? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
That's exactly what it
liberals,
is. Exactly, same thing. They seem like they're on your side until guess what?
The elite of the elite.
You guys are right. And real quickly, Thomas, what's up, my friend? The Gilk Man is here. He's been here for a while. He sent a super chat. Thanks for that, my friend. For $9.99 says, "I'm excited for the multiverse of madness." I'm hesitantly excited, my friend. I was very excited for this film a year and a half ago. Anyway. He says, "I'm excited for the multiverse of madness, and I'm totally okay with supporting Disney to an extent. I'm not okay with supporting Warner Brothers because they are disgusting." Well, I can understand that perspective. Shout out to Jay Ascent, great guy, absolutely.
Yeah, their whole stuff with JD and AH, I can't.
Oh yeah, Fantastic Beasts 3 is going to be 4.
Oh, dude,
this is going to be dead.
Yeah, imagine like the content that that Umbrella guy is going to be putting out for the next 2 years because of this.
Field day with this.
Oh yeah, I was just listening to his most recent one before this.
This is like watching a bomb explode in slow motion.
That's nuts.
So I have breaking news. Someone just sent me a picture on how Patrick Stewart is getting to and fro the movie set.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Golf cart?
Wheelbarrow.
Well, Close enough.
Oh my god.
Well, true.
I
Hey,
think a
isn't that
stretcher
on that
might have
last
been more
planet?
appropriate. A stretcher. But
Oh no, it's
That's
not
when
that bad.
that's when they had pizza on that show
Wow.
right?
Is that
There you
better?
go. There you go.
It's
Yeah.
All right,
terrible.
well,
Exploiting the aged, and I should know.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about something else that's interesting. I think, except I went back on the wrong window. Here it is. I did a. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say one more thing on that,
Yeah.
which is that if we can't, as a society, and I don't want to do anything that would upset your channel, if we can't, as a society, agree on whether or not adults who are not related to children should be able to talk about sex to very young children, then we have a big problem, bigger than anything else.
I agree.
Look, you're not going to find anybody on this panel that disagrees with you, or probably anybody that's watching us right now.
To narrow that down to Hollywood, and this is could be a 24-hour stream discussion. Hollywood is, to me, and Disney and Hollywood are circling the drain of the toilet bowl right now.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is not only this nonsense, but part of it is an old business model. And I'm not saying this is the death of movies. Someone mentioned the Daily Wire earlier. I think the death of Hollywood is upon us. It's a 20th century institution. So hopefully that will mean the renaissance of independent movie making, smaller movie making, foreign movies, whatever.
Maybe what we're seeing is a similar transformation that took place when the studio era ended.
That's true.
Yes.
The exact sorry.
No,
the
please
exact
go
same
ahead,
thing
Mark.
happened. The exact same thing that happened last Sunday is exactly what Critical Drinkers said. That slap is the death of the Hollywood actor.
Okay. And probably for good reason. I mean, we've been talking about the death of celebrity. I mean, Tom and I talk about that. Lorena and I talk about that.
Yep.
Most of us have been talking about it. But real quickly, Blue Eyed Roof Korean the base says Kibblesmith New Warriors is Russian disinformation. Thank you.
Well, they're
for
doing
that.
a good job then.
And a great job. And of course, Judas Go Barbecue. Thank you, my friend, for $15. Says Jean-Luc. Oh, wait, Tom.
That was
Tom, your best Jean-Luc.
I am hover round of Borg.
There you go.
I'm sorry for being white and male.
I'm sorry.
Can we get a bunch of like big YouTubers and stuff across the board to just sing na 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 na, hey goodbye now, and just say it towards celebrities, like and reverse imagine them?
Yes, we should reverse imagine them. And here's a good point. Thank you, TZ Burton, for this. Tugs raised $78,000. Yeah.
Awesome.
Fundraisers right now is amazing. You have obviously Yellow Flash, Tug, lots of other larger channels. They're doing amazing fundraisers for things that are important, like tornado recovery and stuff like that. And and I'm those are things that are close to my heart. Right? People can solve problems, government can't. We have to. It's like people solve problems, Hollywood does not. Well, we have to remember all of these things. Is like it's right now we don't even have a legitimate news media anymore. But that's an aside. So thank you for that. I promised we were going to move on, and we will.
We will. I have one thing to say though. You were right, Culture, about the people are the ones that have to get things solved. So I think all of us should pitch in and get Jada Pinkett Smith a wig.
Hey, what about me?
I thought you were just like a descendant from Mr. Clean.
Oh, wait,
you know what? I
don't
think
need a
she's
wig.
still beautiful, just the way
she is beautiful, but she's ugly on the inside because of the way she acts.
I have to tell you, the balds are beautiful the way they are. That's all I have to say. But let's move on to something I covered in a video, and I didn't get a chance to have people weigh in on it, and I really want to. It's this story. Oh, no. Joe Rogan says he will quit Spotify deal if he has to walk on eggshells.
Yay!
Wow.
I don't believe him.
Considering Spotify employees losing their mind, and that's where it started with. The numerous attempts, or should I say, numerous talks of certain episodes being deleted off of, and Joe Rogan trying to explain trying to make up a bologna sausage reasoning for why certain episodes have been removed. The whole the whole Neil Young, who is apparently back on Spotify, and
He never left.
India Ari and everybody else
Did
losing
Did
their
he even
freaking
own
mind over
his stuff to do
disinformation.
that?
No.
No, he
Did he
doesn't,
even
and
own-
he does not own the publishing rights. He sold them. So it was virtue signaling of the most useless and empty degree.
I have said this. I will, and no, I didn't say this. Jeremy of the Quartering said this, and I couldn't agree with him anymore. If Rogan left and started his own website like JoeRogan.com, just like his own like web hosting service and everything, he would
Rumble
only lose like
offered them.
only 1 million.
Should team up with
Only 1
Elon
million
Musk.
people would just be gone.
But Rumble offered them what 10 million. I don't know if that was a joke or not. Like, he doesn't have to stay there. That's the thing.
Exactly.
And if anything, Spotify should just label it sensitive content, keep it up, and not have to remove his work. That's simple. We get parental advisory stuff on everything, or warning may contain scenes that will harm you, or opinions that will make your fee-fees hurt. Why can't you just put this on a Spotify label? It's not that hard to make a 5-second intro saying some of the opinions here might offend you, and leave it at that. But it's still their choice for choosing to listen to the show.
That's not how authoritarians work, is it?
Oh, I know. I'm in
to
Canada.
Stop you.
I have a
Yeah, that's good enough for a smoking scene, but not for Joe Rogan, I guess.
Well, here's the thing, and we'll read from this story because there's some interesting facts here that I covered in the video, but I need you guys' opinion. I like the feedback; it's kind of fun. Joe Rogan's. I read the title. Joe Rogan recently confessed that he would quit his podcast if it started to feel like he had to walk on eggshells. MMA fighter Josh Barnett admitted on Tuesday episode of the Joe Rogan Experience that he was worried about speaking freely because certain listeners would go through every single one of his statements with a fine-tooth comb, which obviously they've already been doing. Rogan casually assured Barnett that they would be adding Mediaite, there's more people pouring over it, but it's the same thing. I do it the same way, which he does, right? Rogan went on to tell Barnett, and again, Barnett's being the MMA fighter, that if it ever got to the point where JRE becomes something different, he would walk away from his lucrative deal with Spotify. If I become something different because I grew bigger, I will quit. And he said, if it gets to a point that I can't do it anymore, where I have to do it some sort of weird way, where I have to walk on eggshells and mind my P's and Q's, F that, right? Now, here's the thing. His deal's worth about $100 million right now, but the New York Times indicated earlier this year that the deal could actually be more than $200 million, and he's coming up on the last year of the deal already. So, as Soul Assassin points out, could we end up with Joe Rogan on the Daily Wire?
Wow.
He could go somewhere else.
Joe
Daily
Rogan,
Wire's
Daily Wire, and Elon Musk.
Wow. I want Elon to actually turn into the hero of this story and start buying up stuff and flipping it back around. Yeah. But,
I think Joe doesn't understand that the reason why he's feeling like he's on eggshells, the reason why he's having so many people come after him, is because it's because that's how powerful he's become. He is one of the biggest podcasters on the planet now.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of influence and he doesn't realize that.
Well, it's the same thing that happened with
him. They don't want that. They can't handle. They want to have that kind of level of power that he has.
Part of his problem was he caved. He partially caved.
In my opinion, he is just like Dave Chappelle. He's trying to be reasonable with unreasonable people.
Yes.
And when you're forced to walk away or give up your principles, I mean, more power. I mean, he's already earned enough to live off for a good while,
right?
And just have fun and a good time. He's building a comedy club down there. Yeah. He's doing a lot of things. You know, he doesn't need it. It's fun for him. And when it doesn't become with somebody like that who doesn't need it. If it's not fun anymore, they're not going to do it. And I trust that. I think he was a lot of people saw as giving in was him trying to be reasonable with unreasonable people. Because anytime anybody gives these people rope, and we've seen it before. They want more and more and more.
You need to refuse to accept their terms. I mean, I'm a big the famous Bob Dylan incident when the Manchester Free Trade Hall, when he was giving up folk for electric, and somebody in the audience shouted Judas. He said, "You're a liar. I don't believe you." That's the response you need to make to these people. I refuse to accept your terms. I don't believe what you're saying, and I'm not going to debate you on those terms. So.
I'm also self-aware enough to admit that if somebody dumped $4 billion in my lap for one of my stories, I'd take it.
Oh, we're all realists.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, but
that's how it works.
That would also give you opportunity to acquire power, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain amount of money that changes the power structure. I find it, I find it fascinating that Joe would actually walk away from the deal, but at the same time, as many in the chat have pointed out, he could walk away to something even more lucrative, more powerful. He's a voice. Think about it: 11 million people consume his material.
That's what scares them.
But there's also another thing too, that something that maybe Joe is starting to realize is that integrity is worth more than his money. His empire of the show he has built is worth more to him than any type of complaints or censorship coming out of Spotify. Yes, sure, contradiction. He did bend the knee and say whatever in those videos that came out a couple months ago. Sure, whatever. Right. Every human has goes back on some things at one time or another, because they have to or because they choose to. But I think at the time we all look at a point like, what is more important, the dollar or a principle? And I think Joe is still more on principle than dollar.
Me too.
You know what's funny? It makes me think we're in a simulation. Is that the first time I ever saw Joe Rogan? He was on a show called Talk Radio.
Yeah.
And now he is Talk Radio.
Yeah. And boy, that Phil Hartman was in that show. That was a good show. Yeah.
It was a really good show.
Honor trumps everything, and I think that Joe he built his show based on those principles, sticking by those.
Look how he takes care of his body. Look how he cares about his show, and then associate the two. And I think you can see what type of personality he is. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I think he cares more about what he wants to have as a legacy.
And he's more on their. He's on their side more.
He doesn't want to be a culture warrior, but he's being forced into that position.
Yeah,
has to be forced into it.
And I find it curious. There's one perspective here I think that we really have to dive into, and that's Tom's, because here's somebody who in his leisure time runs a Mead Radio, right? He has a background in doing amazing stuff, production level stuff for hours at a time. Tom, your thoughts on Rogan and all of that?
Well, I mean, I'd like to believe that he's going to go where he can say what he wants and be able to interview people and get different points of view. I mean, I know he made that point a few times. That's part of the reason he does what he does. And yeah, I mean, from that perspective, I hope he sticks to that and he's actually legit. I mean, because otherwise, if he's full of shit, then it's going to start showing sooner or later. And I know he lost a lot of cred when he kind of went over there anyway. So, I mean, if he at least starts to stand up for himself and if they keep fucking around and whatnot, then yeah, I mean.
Well, there's some people who think he had a timer on his time at YouTube anyway.
You think so?
Yeah.
I do know this. TZ Burton's 100% right. Tim Pool had Rogan, Michael Malice, Blair White, and Alex Jones on one episode. They're the new media. Honestly, everything that we're consuming nowadays, that there's a massive I'm telling you, polar shifts are occurring right now in culture, and
back to the 20th century thing. The traditional media, cable, and other news media and other media is the 20th century. It's dying.
Tim is
we're talking about is the new media,
because he really threads that needle. Do you think if one of us had Alex Jones on our channel, we wouldn't get shut down almost immediately on our live stream?
I don't know how FNT managed to pull that off.
I mean, it has to do with the viewership, but YouTube is kind of closing the gate. I mean, everybody who is larger than me, who encouraged me to get started are telling me it wasn't this hard when I started.
It's
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah, I've been hearing the same thing, but you know what? Tenacity always pays off. So difficulty is always its own reward because you outlast it. Yeah.
I went to I'm posting on all my stuff on Getter and I'm putting stuff on Rumble. So I mean,
I got stuff going to Rumble. I have stuff going on Getter. I've got stuff going on Minds, and now that I've got a Gilded server, we're going to start doing some stuff that is just for Gilded. So if you're not a member or subscriber to my Gilded server, it's free. I don't know why there's this weird application thing for some people are filling out. I don't know, but just, say something and click go. I don't care. But if you're 18 or older, it's no issue to join. If you're a little younger than that, there's some criteria that you have to make people aware, so we're not doing anything weird. But I just safer if we act like adults on there and not do anything terribly offensive or gross. Speaking of which, offensive or gross, did anybody watch Moon Knight?
Yeah. I know you didn't like it, but I actually kind of enjoyed the first episode. I watched it 3 times.
Lots of people are drawing comparisons to Loki.
Huh?
Now, since you've
I didn't watch Loki.
Okay, then that's not going to work. Anybody else here see Moon Knight?
I've seen it.
I no longer subscribe.
I've seen it.
No interest.
It was an okay watch. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Like I said on Twitter, with the first episode, this show is basically in the friend zone, as I would say.
Okay.
So they've got enough to intrigue me, but we'll see what happens with the other episodes. Because unfortunately, with the MCU shows on Disney Plus, they'll start out great and then just turn to bantha poodoo the further on that they go.
Appropriate title.
Thank you. So we'll see. I mean, I didn't hate the first episode. I was intrigued. So we'll see. They did their job with the first episode. Oh, but the CGI was crap.
Mm-hmm.
CGI was horrible. So I don't know what shop they're using for their CGI, but they need to fire them.
Okay. A lower budget one.
It's funny because Lorena's right. We pretty much might as well just, like I said, verb it or noun it. It's pretty much Disney has the Ralph Boner mentality. Give us something good at the beginning or give us something good at the end while telling us to wait till the end. That applies to Disney, whether it's Star Wars, the Book of Fat, or any of that stuff. It all falls into the same lines. Like, we've got Loki making out with an alternate version of himself. We have Boba Fett that eventually stops talking throughout the whole series and turns into Mandalorian. We have WandaVision that literally everyone, when that was announced, it showed such promise. There was care to the scenery, the times and age, the sets, and then it went Ralph Boner. And that's where we're living. We're living in the generation of Ralph Boner. Something happens, we Ralph Boner it because we stop caring or we admit we don't do the research and it just ends up flopping. It's like it's all half-assed. It's all Ralph Boner.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's all Ralph Boner.
Gosh,
sorry, I like saying Ralph Boner. I'm just trying to say it's more.
Yeah. I don't know. My thoughts on the show are as such. I thought it was a waste of my time to watch. And I was frustrated because, again, this is something I had been looking forward to. I was like, hey, if they make a proper Moon Knight, this could be really amazing. And you have special, people that have seen 4 episodes of the 6-episode show, and they're not talking any better about it than I would after the first episode. I don't know. Tom, did you talk with Chris or Chris Gore or anybody else about their experience with the show?
I don't think he watched it. I think even though he had access to the first 4 episodes, he didn't check it out.
Wow.
I enjoyed it for the most part too, but I mean, it's not great. No. I'm kind of like Lorena. It's in the friend zone. I like that. I mean, that's a good representation of about how good the show is, I guess.
All right.
I will give it credit though. Okay. It is much better than what I saw on Twitter a couple of days ago, where DC has released a new comic book that has to do something with the virtual reality world, and they literally got a FaZe Clan to come help them fight in the virtual reality world.
a esports team. DC
So it's not
Comics.
Goddess Mode 2.0?
No, they actually drew in the Phase team saying, we need actual gamers. This is a DC comic. So we're, yeah.
Well, didn't they do that way back in the day with comics where they were like, this is starring President Johnson, or well, I don't know, I'm reaching, but I mean, like, they actually had like political people, or not, well, maybe not political, but I mean, like, famous
propaganda
people pop up once in a while. Yeah,
it was propaganda. We can call it what it was.
Oh no, magic
during World
like,
War II. The comics were propaganda.
Yeah, even like Scooby Doo did like the basketball team back in the 80s. I'm not a sports. Yeah.
That's different. Yeah, maybe that's the same, but like esports team in the virtual reality world, they hold the mouse and keyboard. They're not actually going to be pro stars. And
somebody paid for that.
Exactly. And it's pretty weird, right? And Carrie's asked a question about Moon Knight specifically, and I'm going to say it kind of had the feel of Legion a little, like some of the visual stuff, like, you know, from during the switches. I'm really mad that they're leaning that far into the mental illness aspects, but anyway, that
Legion was awesome.
Yeah, you're not going to get.
If you want to watch a good show, watch Legion.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
got a question. Does it seem like this is like the old style of television, where one of the major networks, each of the major networks, had a UHF channel, and all the really good content, like the sitcoms and wholesome stuff and stuff people watched, was on the main channel, and all the stuff they just threw money at ended up on the UHF channel until it made them a dime or something, and then it went away.
No, it's not. It's these are all mini series they're putting out. It's not even like sitcoms.
Well, they're not putting enough money into it. They're using substandard and subpar.
Yeah, this 6-episode thing is becoming prevalent now.
But it's not about money anymore. The fact is they're not writing people into the shows. They're writing people based off the actor or actresses they get and what checklist they fall under. And that is the main focus of these characters. There is no longer soul in series. And Disney Plus
I do want to admit something. Lorena changed my mind about this. With Snow White that's coming out, if they tell that story the correct way, it will make sense and people won't have a problem with it. But unfortunately, I think that was one of those checklist hires. I don't know. That girl is beautiful. That they're getting to do Snow White.
I do kind of have something to say about that. And I'm just going to add a point of clarification, because some people have been erroneously saying that the Snow White casting was a racial cast. It was not.
Yeah.
The actress, she's part Polish.
Yeah.
This is akin to the situation of, you could have a German guy play Bond.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
Bond is English.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah, but you know, there are people out there that are ignorant, and they're gonna say stuff. But if they tell it the right way, there's nothing they can say about it.
I agree. But unfortunately, because that language and that casting is so charged, you have people who are ignorant making the mistake of saying, this is a racial casting.
Because everything's so prevalent, they're seeing it where it's there or not.
That is true. It's an explanation,
everything.
But not an excuse.
Right.
That's just what I'm going to put out there. It's an explanation and it's not an excuse. I don't blame them for feeling that way, because what has been shoved down our throats for so long?
Yeah.
But what I'm asking people is to kind of take a step back and realize the truth of the situation. And the truth of that casting was an ethnic swap, not a racial swap. And I agree with you, Jack. If they do the story right, hopefully it'll come out.
If they make it about a metaphor and expressly explain that metaphor in a way that is a story-driven element, then it will work perfectly. I'm just afraid they're too lazy to do it.
And I would agree with you, because then again, this is not Eisner era Disney.
Right.
Yeah.
This is Chapek and Iger era Disney.
Yeah, it's the quick buck time.
Right.
The magical world of indoctrination. I mean, Disney. Sorry.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, Bill Barkley asked, still talking the slap? Okay, right. It's a casting issue. Yeah. No, we look, the slap is in the past in my world. I'm done with it. Outside of the aspects of the things that he's surrendering.
I just feel sorry for him. I do.
Yeah,
I had such respect for him a long time ago.
Well, we can be happy though. Marvel did just, I think, release a comic or announced a comic where they claim now Jesus is the first mutant ever.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
Well, technically, we're all mutants because of millions of years of evolution and radiation and so on affecting our genes. So technically, we're all mutants.
I can sleep better. 70s, thank you.
And Bad Bunny makes a point, I think, that we can all agree with. They only have enough talent and content for 6 episodes.
Well, you can only spin a poor idea out for so long when you're writing, and if it's based upon the wrong reasons for making the show, you're not going to be able to spin it out.
Yeah, but
I have a statement about that Jesus comment.
Oh boy!
As somebody who has been recently accused of being heretical about one of my stories that I've been writing. Yeah.
Heretical.
Well, because I'm doing a play on Adam and Eve and getting kicked out of Eden, and that's the sci-fi fantasy story that I've been.
What gender was
releasing.
Eve?
Oh boy.
Non-binary.
I'm not a biologist.
She was an AI aboard a ship called Eden, and she ended up having to transfer her consciousness into another. Anyway, it's on the channel. You can watch it. You can listen to it,
which is awesome, by the way. Yeah.
But I think that's kind of cool that they're not like that. They're actually having a Christian thing in with that. It's
I'd be willing to give it a
without
chance.
deriding it, unless they deride it. Yeah.
Here's okay. So you guys have heard me have a rant, right? This is perfect. Because you're an author, and again, that's I'm like, you write multiple stories. These people can't put 6 episodes together coherently. But here, I think Blue Eye Roof Korean hits on it. It says everyone overlooks the blatant outsourcing of labor. Just look at the credits. Yes, they are 600 miles long. You have,
oh my gosh, yes,
20
forever.
minutes of freaking credits at the end of a movie. It's just dumb.
I know.
Well, and Tim Pool said something once, and I researched it. Most of the people in the behind the scenes production stuff that they're outsourcing that to, they're looking for work. They're begging for work. They're living in their parents' basements because they have this degree and they have all this experience doing this work, and because it's being outsourced, they can't do that work. And now they're working at Walmart and stuff.
What's wrong with basement?
I know. I'd love to live in someone's basement. It'd be great.
Under their
I have to worry about earning a living.
Basements are actually easy to control temperature in. There's a good reason for living subterranean. There's a lot of good reasons for living subterranean.
But imagine your industry is centered in California, where the cost of living is higher than it is anywhere else in America, and your industry, the career path that you've been on, you haven't trained in anything else, just disappears and gets outsourced. I mean, as a tech for the last 30 years, I can tell you that that's happened over the course of that time. Having my jobs being lost to outsourcing, and it's a big problem in the industry.
Well, it's a big problem in all industries. I mean, it's one of the things that previous administrations have tried to deal with and stop outsourcing of all kinds of different jobs. Try to bring that back. And again, you get a more stable, world when you are producing locally than when you're producing internationally. It just is.
Well, I mean, what happens when all our manufacturing is gone and all our service jobs are gone?
Yeah, it's a good question. And because I don't want to dive too deeply into any other massive story. That's right.
Nice hat.
Paulie's here.
That out.
It's my Latino slant bucket
Hey,
hat.
Paulie.
There you go. And it's good to see Paulie. This is a good question. So since I don't want to bring up any new articles, and some of the stuff is negative, I want to ask this. Thank you for this. Bill Barkley asks, is anybody excited for Sonic 2? I am.
I am. Oh my God. I
Totes.
can't wait.
Yep.
I cannot flip and wait.
Yeah,
Dude.
absolutely.
And yeah, I think that's going to be great.
Good fun.
I have to. I got to pick out the last movie, so my new bride gets to pick the next ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty much everybody else has said. Pretty much everybody said that the everything looks great so far. Looks like they're just really just rolling off on the momentum that they got from the last film. You know, again, the fact that the animation studio went out of their way to go out of business just to make those changes.
Yeah.
Was worth it. Unfortunately, we lost the studio because of that, but it was totally worth it in the end. And I think this is them just kind of reaping, you know, Jeff Fowler, just everybody kind of reaping their rewards for this.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy for it. I love the post. I love the fact that the poster is such an amazing homage to Sonic 2 on the Genesis.
No, and the trailer has some shade throwing jokes on the MCU. Actually,
it is on the MCU. As somebody who kind of grew up being a Sonic fan, I will definitely watch just to see where they go with it, and just to see what little Easter eggs that I can pinpoint, because I grew up being a Sonic fan, so I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, like I always say, I think Jeff Fowler and the entire team, they deserve a medal for Sonic the Hedgehog, the first movie being the highest grossing film before the pandemic hit. So that was another that was another that blue hedgehog was basically laughing at Harley Quinn the entire time. And I take personal glee in that.
You know what, Makini, you're 100% right, because first of all, they fixed what was wrong with the first trailer. That we were just like, who the heck is that? It's not Sonic.
It was actually the third highest grossing, but
What you know what I mean? It was grossing higher than
right.
But people forget. Well, people forget that Bad Boys for Life was the biggest movie that year. Yeah,
right.
Well, that's true.
But back to what I was saying. This movie, I hadn't seen so many people excited about a movie. We're talking from little kids to like grandparents, and they were just totally transfixed through the whole movie. And okay, I'm sorry if you hadn't seen it, but I'm going to try not to spoil it. There's an end credit spoiler, but when that happened, the whole theater erupted, because it was a question we kept asking throughout the whole entire movie, and the fact that they included that meant that they understood what Sonic fans wanted.
My Sonic 2?
First
Sonic
one.
1.
Oh, the first one. Okay, never mind.
Go ahead.
I think my favorite part of the whole thing before Sonic actually released is how much you had the cancel culture campaign going out and trying to say, we just came back from Sonic, it's not out yet. It's completely racist. That Sonic was so racist. The movie isn't out yet. It was racist. That blue hedgehog was so racist. That was like, I gotta watch this.
And the thing is, I'm gonna enjoy it. I think I'll definitely watch it and enjoy it, just because of not Sonic fans, just because I'm seeing that.
Chaos Emerald.
You know, with it, way I saw the kind of the anime adaptation to Sonic X is like, okay, they're going to be adapting different storylines based on different games. So I'm always kind of interested in seeing what's going to be the next game they're going to adapt. Are they going to adapt? Are they going to go all the way into the Genesis era? They're going to adapt storyline for Sonic 3. Are they going to go into the Dreamcast era? Are they going to freaking bring in characters like Shadow the Hedgehog in there? It's because I fucking love Sonic Adventure 2. The possibilities are definitely endless. And if they do it the right way, it could be the Sonic universe could be its own like MCU.
Here's the tragedy. Sorry.
Go ahead, please, AFK.
I was going to say, right, however. Yeah. The tragedy of this, I think, is that everybody who obviously is a fan and loves it and wants to see more of this, but then like I kind of like have to bring the downer side to it, is that, you know, the whole announcement that Jim Carrey had made. Yeah. Because the second I heard that was the only thing I thought was, I love him as Robotnik. Yeah. I want more Sonic. This is terrible news.
I loved him as Eggman. Absolutely.
Oh God, he was perfect as Eggman.
Some have said that was Eggman's role. His role as Eggman was one of his best performances in years.
I would agree. He was Eggman. When you saw him, you didn't see Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Well, here's fun stuff, folks. Horseradish Power, thank you for the £5 sterling. This is proper money. I appreciate it. Says Sonic 2 is already out in the UK. Saw it Friday. Was a fun ride. Connects well to one. Great climax. Has one end credit scene. I do recommend.
And I gotta agree with I do agree with Darius Munchausen. And Sonic did make out with a human princess in the Sonic game that many in the fandom want to just pretend didn't exist.
There's related to
listen to the difference in the way we're all talking about this property as opposed to Doctor Strange. Immediately we're enthusiastic, we're happy, we're looking forward to stuff. Earlier on, we were all dreading what we were going to do to Doctor Strange, dreading what's happening in those IPs. What a difference when you treat an IP with respect and try to make a movie people will enjoy without the message.
Beautiful.
Well, that's the thing. You can tell a story. Your overall outlook on life is going to show through. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Okay, that's just the way things are.
It can be
because you have a perspective.
Yeah.
But if you do a story correctly, you're doing it for entertainment's sake, not for the sake of a message. Yes. And that's it's what people used to complain about the Christian movies that were always B&C movies, that they beat you over the head with everything.
Yeah.
And now Hollywood's doing it the other way. They know better. They used to make good movies.
The other thing is also, it is out. All right, cool. Looks like I'm watching Sonic later. Found it. Yar, matey. The thing with Jim Carrey's statement that came out not too long ago, honestly, it couldn't be better timed, because with Sonic coming out, if his performance is great and the movie is great, it's going to drown him out. It's going to drown that out.
Yeah.
It is. I think
read by nature. I saw Morbius today. Really wish I saw Sonic. Anyway, sorry, Steven. That was just funny to me.
No, it's all good.
I didn't pay too much attention to what Jim Carrey said. Did he actually say he was retiring or just thinking about retiring?
Yeah,
because it could be like a classic rock band. They're on their 15th tour.
Well,
15th
he
farewell
went
tour.
a little crazy
you never know.
there at the end, didn't he?
Or like Jay-Z with the Black Album.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
I think the Jim Carrey thing was an April Fool's joke, to be honest.
It's possible. Yeah,
but there's also the difference here when it comes to when we're looking at Disney, Marvel, and let's say Sonic. Okay, Disney, Marvel has a history right now. Even Disney, Star Wars has a history of like letting us down. We put hopes in a little thing and lets us down, and then we get things like Sonic, where not only does a Canadian studio get shut down after refixing it because we saw how horrifying that first Sonic animation was, that it was sacrificed for the quality rather than being told to shut up and just enjoy it. And that's the difference right now. And that's something like when we look at Legacy Media has a history of calling opinion pieces news. And with that comes slander, improper facts, improper delivery of information based off opinion, not fact. And that's why Disney is in that category where we're talking about Doctor Strange and we're a lot more critical. We're a lot more critical because of that history. It's the same application.
Well, you know what? As a fiction writer, I want people to tell me what they didn't like about it, because I'm like, literally most of these stories I'm writing is like rough or first draft. Yeah. And if they see something I don't, that allows me to fix it. And like, I did one this past Halloween. I took one of the previous Halloween stories and rewrote it from a different perspective. And it turned out so much better because of what people said about it. Criticism, good or bad, is going to help you in the long run.
That's true.
You know, if you're turning a wrench wrong and they don't tell you that you're doing it wrong, you're always going to turn that wrench wrong and you're going to break stuff. So I don't get why they get so upset.
Well, I don't get it either, but unfortunately we're going to have to wrap this up because we've got a lot of things happening in the background. Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Go ahead.
And I do want to bring up this, just like I know this, that does bring a lot of worry with, you know, the whole Knuckles getting kind of his own kind of spin-off, and they want to spin off into like a cinematic universe. And I say, if they did this right, the thing is with Disney and their handling of the Marvel property and with Star Wars property, it's falling off. It's not going to be well. That's why I'm saying if they do it right, because I remember saying that if there's any other property that could have the potential to hit that global scale that the MCU did, it would likely be League of Legends, thanks to the Netflix show Arcane, and because Riot Games are so keen on keeping everything intact because of League of Legends deep lore, that's something that could appeal to that on a level of the MCU in a way. So that's why I'm saying, if it's handled right, it could have that potential.
Yeah, I think it is. And Fitzgerald is like, how can it be a cinematic universe? Well, they just basically build around the world. I mean, you've already crafted quite the narrative around the games.
Yeah, you can literally make a Sonic Fast and the Furious if you want to too, because there's Sonic Team Racing. You can literally go down that.
Sonic's lore is deep. It's not just the games. It's the comics. It's the Archie comics. It's everything. They have such a huge, incredible IP to work with, and so much to build off of.
Yeah, I like I said, I think they could do a nice job with it. There's a lot there. Plus, we've got Idris being the Knuckles in the TV show.
Lost their mind the moment they saw Knuckles.
And
I will that gave me chills.
Yeah,
I'll give credit right now. Jim Carrey's opening monologue for 2 is fantastic, and I'll leave it at that.
I'm much looking forward to this, but like I said, we've got to shut it down. I want to give everybody a chance to say goodbye. We have some very talented guests with us today. One of them is this young lady right here.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to the show. It's been a great time. Follow everybody here on this panel. Of course, 8:30, excuse me. Oh my God, gotta have myself. 8 p.m. Eastern, the Welcome to Florida show. On my panel, we're going to be continuing the discussion of Disney versus the state of Florida. So please do indeed come and check that out. My schedule's on Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter, subscribe to me on YouTube, and please follow me over on Twitch, because I am spinning up that platform as well for more stuff. So thanks very much for having me, Culture. And hey, Yellow Flash.
I know. And you know what? This is a good way to end it. Last piece of discussion. Everybody gets a vote on this one. Yellow Flash 2 for $20. Thank you, my friend.
Hey,
thanks.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Dude, I didn't beat the brakes off of anything today, just so you know. But Yellow Flash asks, and this is a good question. Sonic 2 beats Fantastic Beasts next weekend? Yes.
It's going to annihilate Fantastic.
Yes.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It's gonna slaughter. Trust me, I'm already seeing it. It's slaughter.
I gotta get Yellow on a Sunday stream. What do you guys think? We think we
Get him. Yellow's cool.
Yeah.
I had him on my channel. He's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to hang out with Yellow some, and he can beat the brakes off of something on my channel. So, but anyway, God, I love that line. So great. Every moment of if you watch Flashcast, it's just incredible. It's just great. It's
fantastic fun. Yeah,
we have so many good creators around.
Oh, it's insane right now. It's consuming everybody's content's just insane. I love it.
Yeah, it's difficult to do.
It is. Aiken for $7.99 Australian. Thank you, my friend. Aiken says, nowadays I can't get confidently excited over any entertainment anymore. I'm still hopeful in being occasionally pleasantly surprised, though, and I think that speaks about all of us pretty well. What do you guys think? It's probably true.
There are still things that surprise us and excite us and entertain us. Nothing wrong with movies. It's certain institutions and the way they've treated them.
Yeah. And that's
I'm excited for Sonic, and that's probably the only thing I've been super excited for in the longest time. So I believe that there's hope. It's just that you've got to be able to do it right, and there's very few people who can do it right.
And just imagine, we all answered that question quickly with an affirmative that Sonic 2 will beat the Beasts. Of course it's going to, because they've trashed J.K. Rowling and her property for a long time. But I have to get everybody going here. We've got other stuff, other places for people to be. Of course, this is our other special guest today, Mr. That 70s Rock Fan. What's going on?
Oh, thank you for having me, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed streaming with this panel. Wonderful, and please everybody subscribe to him. The chat has been brilliant. I have my channel, That 70s Rock Fan. I won't be doing my weekly live show tomorrow because I'm going back into the workforce for a little while. Until I get my schedule worked out, then I won't know when I can do my weekly show. But if you want to watch last Monday's, it was a 3-hour special on the Who. It was a lot of fun. I would just recommend anyone to rewatch that. We had such great fun. I also loaded a video today on my first video about whiskey, Scotch whiskey. So that one I'm quite pleased with. And I do have, inspired by Tom, I have that 70s rock fan radio channel where I do a lot of hard rock and classic rock stuff. So please check that out too. But thank you for having me on.
Another old school broadcaster. All right.
Yeah.
And of course,
yeah.
Speaking of old school broadcaster, there he is, the man himself, our own bald Tom from Midnight's Edge.
The bald with the DVD and the figures.
That's right. Oh, yeah, you have 4K thingies. When's the next 4K stream?
Oh, probably Wednesday, but I got to talk to Valiant. We're trying to figure out a better time because he's usually busy in the afternoons with kid stuff. So
right.
Hopefully soon. Same thing with the A-rated B movie. Like, script's just been busy, so we'll just have to figure something out here soon. But yeah. That's all I got to say.
All right, brother.
Happy birthday, Marlon Brando.
Yeah, and people have birthdays. Yeah, you know, it's nice to wish people
birthday today.
We just don't sing.
And rip Mrs. Costanza from Seinfeld.
Happy birthday to me.
Of course, the man that
here on my birthday.
The man that draws the amazing things, Machini.
Also, I want to mention to Darius, I would like to see them adapt, if not Sonic Adventure 2, but they got to bring in Metal Sonic at some point. And I think that would be safe for the third movie because that's going to be freaking awesome. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here on the Sunday Culture Review as always. No, there will not be a Machini live right after the show as I'm kind of still under the weather. I'm still dealing with a swollen mouth because of my tooth, and I'll definitely explain that next weekend. But here's what I do have for you guys in the meantime.
Oh,
this is my full schedule for the rest of the season. That goes all the way into May. Next Sunday, we'll be back with our special guest, Grumpy Old Ninja Guitaro. Then the Sunday after that, Xevious, Magitech Mads, Purple Valkyrie, who's coming back a second time. Guys, if you have not seen the stream that we did with Purple Valkyrie last Sunday, check that out. So many people were asking for her to come back, and we're all happy to have her come back. And of course, Saturday, May 7th at 7 p.m. is the season finale / 800 celebration / birthday.
All right.
Birthday stream. So that's where we're going to wrap this season off. Other than that, I have a brand new show that will debut on Thursday mornings. I'm calling it the Machini Cafe. It's just going to be a little morning show that I just talk with you guys as I'm doing some morning sketches, just getting my day started. Hope you guys see that. Hope you guys see you guys on Thursday. Every Tuesday through Friday, I will be taking a lot of the morning sketches that you guys have been seeing me do recently. I have been recording them, uploading them, and just throwing them out together. So every Tuesday and Friday at 9 a.m., check that out. And of course, one of my main videos, which I haven't done in 3 weeks, will return tomorrow, Maki Sketch Diary. This is basically my little art blog where I talk about art. I talk about my life. I talk about, just a lot of my own experiences and such. And because I've been away for 3 weeks, I have a lot to talk about concerning tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I'll be going all crazy in that. And by the way, for my Twitch audience, twitch.tv/MachiniTypeR, I will be back doing some more Twitch stuff. So this week as well. So no Twitch stream tomorrow. This is going to be my only stream tonight anyways. Today anyway. So
wow.
There we go.
Thanks.
Thank you. I wish I was as well organized as you, and I thought I was organized.
I'm thinking ahead of time because I got this idea from Arwen and Lorena to do a schedule every week.
It's beautiful.
Cool.
It's well done. And,
Purple's great.
Oh, I
Subscribe to
indoctrinated you.
oh boy.
Yes, I've been indoctrinated by Lorena.
All right. Well, speaking of indoctrination, we have the man whose waistline is under siege.
It's all good. Find me. I'm on YouTube and Twitch and Rumble. Thank you.
Wow, Fat Steven, come on, buddy.
That's it.
Well played on all the convoy coverage too,
yeah,
sir.
It was
great.
amazing.
I am
well
done with that.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it was good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Fat Steven. I appreciate you, my friend. Keep rocking it. Of course, we have an author amongst us, a man who's got almost 100 video stories up on YouTube for your consumption pleasure, Mr. Storyman Jack.
Yeah, I've already got 2 episodes of the two current stories I have running. One is a science fantasy. The other one is a Harry Dresden-esque noir detective story. And one will drop on Monday afternoon and one on Thursday afternoon. So check it out. If you like it, please subscribe. I'm at 441 subscribers as of today. So I got a little momentum going. We want to try and keep that going.
Oh, well, I didn't know I had. I'm sorry. I was surprised by the sponsorship there, but you keep it up. You're doing a great job. And I can't wait for October. I'm waiting for Horror Month, my friend.
Oh, yeah. I'm writing one of those stories a week right now so that I do not burn myself out that month.
There you go. And finally, last but not least, the person who's been the longest term panelist that we have on today's show. It's AFK Bard.
Hola. It was a great stream. Everybody on here is super awesome. I've enjoyed picking your minds. And everybody who tuned in, thank you. Culture is awesome, and he really needs the support. I hope you all have a good Sunday. And yeah, there you go.
And with that, I want to say thanks for being here, everybody. It was a great stream. All the 91 of you that stayed all the way to the end, thank you for that. If you didn't hit the like button, please do so. There's something magical apparently about 100 plus likes, so help me out. I would appreciate it. On that note, I've got to go and have some food and do another thing. I'm going to be suffering for your pleasure watching Picard with Polly, also known as Latino Slant. So
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry for you.
In the near future, watch as Mexican Iron Man puts us through the paces there. Other than that, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.